Hi, it's Kevin May, the Editor-in-Chief of PhocusWire. Kerry Duff, Business Development and Marketing Director for Flytographer. Now, right, so this one's an interesting one, I think, which is why
I hope so.
Tell us what Flytographer is, and then we'll kind of dive in a little bit about some of the nuances and what it is and how it all works and stuff like that.
Right. Well, Flytographer connects travelers with photographers that are local in over 250 destinations around the world.
Right.
So it's like for fun, candid photo shoots, typically around an hour. So let's say you meet up with Roberta in Rome, and Roberta would take you for this really cool walk, and she'd show you this amazing place to have gelato, and this like really cool alleyway where you can see the perfect view of the Colosseum, all while taking beautiful photos of you.
Right. I sense you're tapping into the Instagram generation here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Well, I mean, the company was formed 5 years ago. I guess that would have been like sort of predating the Instagram, maybe a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think definitely now, I mean, that's something that we're seeing trending a lot more with social media, that a lot of people want those photos that are geared specifically for their social.
Right, so how did the idea come about that we need to create a service that connects travelers with photographers?
Well, our founder, Nicole Smith, she was on vacation in Paris with her friend and kept on realizing they'd get those really, terrible selfie shots with like, you know the ones. Like it's a bad angle, it's just your head, that sort of thing. So she actually got a friend of them to just follow them around and take amazing photos and realized that those were the best photos of our entire trip. So, so often also I think we live our vacations through our phones. How many times are you on vacation and you're looking through your phone and you're not really experiencing things?
Okay.
Right? So you spend so much of your time kind of capturing on your phone. So instead, we do that for you. We capture these beautiful, stunning images that are like the best souvenir, and then you spend the rest of your vacation relaxing.
I just find the whole thing intriguing. So great. How long does a photographer? Is it how long are they on the trip with the traveler?
Well, the photographers are based in each individual city, so they're locals, right? So we're not flying someone to meet you. These are people who live in the cities where you're going, right? And so it's really, we start at a half hour, but I mean, it goes up in increments from there, but you can have someone for a half day if you want. Most people choose an hour.
Okay.
Right.
And so presumably if you've just turned up in Rome and you've booked one of your flytographers for an hour in Rome, you would say, okay, well, we've only got an hour, so let's make sure we get some snaps outside the Colosseum and then some on the Spanish Steps and some outside.
Exactly.
And then they're just tearing around after you, taking pictures?
Kind of. I mean, like, ideally, you would choose one of our routes in advance. So we have these routes that you can choose from, but then you can also do custom routes if you want, right? But some people might, not know. I mean, maybe you're in Rome, but you haven't done a lot of research, right? So you might want to look at our routes and look at the specific destinations and then choose from there what's appealing to you. But, I mean, all of our routes really have, like, that great sense of place, right? So we don't really shoot in places that don't have, like, a beautiful sense of place with, like, great architecture or great background imagery.
Okay, so these are all professional photographers, mate?
Yes. So it's a highly curated marketplace.
Okay.
So we've had about 15,000 apply, and we've hired just over 450. So the vetting process is pretty strict. And oftentimes these are people who they shoot a lot of weddings, that type of thing.
Okay.
But the thing is that they want to do this because it expands their portfolio, because they love meeting locals, and it's something totally different, right? It's outside either the corporate or wedding photographer realm, so they do it for fun.
Okay, so we get down to the important bit now. I'm sensing that it's maybe an expensive product for a traveller to use. I suppose it depends on your point of view. But I mean, so what's the going rate for a?
It starts at $250 US for a half hour. But I mean, one of our customers said to us, and I wish I could remember the exact quote, it's something like, maybe 1% of what your vacation budget might be, or maybe even 10%, but it's like 100% of what you remember.
Right. Okay.
So when you come home from your vacation, like, what do you look at? Like, what are the things that you remember? And like 5-10 years down the road, what do you remember from that vacation?
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting because you're making an assumption almost that, as you say, travellers are wandering around and they're selfieing this and they're snapping that, and they're not experiencing because they're too busy snapping away with their phones. To go from that, which is free, to then saying, okay, well, next time we'll spend $250 and meet a photographer in Paris?
Yeah, I think the other issue with taking your own photos is that oftentimes somebody's not in the photo.
Right.
So one of the things we say we do
Sometimes
is
that's
like,
on purpose, but anyway.
but it's often the mom actually. If it's a family photo, it's often mom that's not in the photo. I mean, I'm not saying all the time. Dads do take a lot of photos too, but one of the things we say is we put mom back in the photo.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, because somebody's got to take those images. So
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, how have you managed to get the word out about this? Because it's not the most obvious thing that you think about. Even if you can afford a $250 an hour photographer, you might ordinarily have spent that on maybe an expensive meal in the destination. So how have you managed to suddenly get yourselves in front of travellers so that they know you even exist? I mean,
yeah, because it's something that they didn't even know they needed.
Yeah, right.
For a long time. I think it's a little bit of a mix. I mean, we've had some great success with some public relations initiatives and some great articles in Oprah.com and Brides Magazine and Forbes. So that's really helped. I think also we have some good partnerships that were started early on. So Fairmont being one of those, and then as we formed some of those partnerships and got the word out, we started to get a lot of customers who tried it once and then they told a lot of other people,
right,
or
okay.
repeat customers, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you think this kind of goes? Is it? I mean, because you could just carry on growing your client base and your Flytographer base, and it grows that way. But can it expand into other things like video, or just tapping into that kind of selfie, Instagram, Facebook generation? Where could it go from here, do you think?
Well, I don't think that we've really tapped the full vacation photography market yet.
Okay.
I think there's so many people that aren't aware of us, and I think people don't just do it once. So oftentimes we'll see someone who does a proposal shoot, and then they'll do a honeymoon, then a baby moon, then an anniversary.
Okay.
Right? So we see them throughout the occasions, and it's kind of cool because we're collecting their memories. So we might see someone, right now through 5 years. So we've seen people who propose with us, and now they're like on their second child, which is really cool to see.
Well,
so we're
busy
collecting
as well.
memories. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that we haven't fully tapped the vacation photography space, and I think there's some interesting trends that we're seeing a lot of. For instance, bleisure. That's the mix of that business and leisure. So people who are going on, a conference, and then they're maybe tagging on 2 extra days. And so they want to capture those photos, and they're just by themselves. So they want and then they want to connect with a local, right?
Okay.
So they want someone that they can meet. They're going to go out with an hour. That person's going to tell them about cool things they do in the city, and they're going to get awesome photos.
Yeah. Okay. It's very interesting. Wish you the best of luck, Kerry Duff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.